One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. And he'll get it up past the 20 to about the 22. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And, Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden, this is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
Ball up to the 35 now as they come up on 1st and 10. Running right, here's Sanders. Give him 5 on the carry there, and it'll be 2nd down. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
It's a 6-yard pickup, and it gets him to 2nd and 4. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles with quarterback Norm Van Brockman, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brockman coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
After the incomplete pass, here now is 2nd and 10. They go back to the ground with Sanders. And he is going to lose yardage here. It'll go as a loss of a yard, so now they deal with 3rd and 11.
We knew both of these safeties were good in run support, but how about the play we just saw there? How about that closing speed? Able to get to the outside part of the field and turn that play into a loss.
We're backed up here. Tough spot, needing 11 yards to pick up the first. Now Favre. He's going to drop this down to Sanders. And they'll rally and stop him short of the first down at about the 6. They do get 7 out of that, but not enough to prevent a 4th down. Anderson's kick is good. And the NFC out to an early 3-0 lead. So they're able to end that drive with 3 points in this one-possession ball game.
And ideally, you want to end every drive with points. Most quarterbacks would tell you, let's end it with a kick, right? A PAT, that's number one. Field goal you'll take. Punts, you really don't want to do that. In this case, they'll take the field goal and get prepared for the rest of the game.
So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, the AFC West. So this the drive starts with a run by Allen. And he is brought down at the 22 after a gain of 2, and it brings up second down. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times, and he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
Throwing is Brady on 3rd down. It's incomplete. Took a shot, couldn't connect.
Not only did he have a chance to scan the field there, it felt like he had a chance to scan it twice. The protection was that good. Unfortunately for him, the coverage downfield, equally good.
And he gets this away, and look at this. This is a good one. And he'll get this up to right around the 8-yard line. That one in the books as a 64-yard punt. And the NFC will take over deep in their own territory with a 1st and 10. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And last time they got 3 points, but it was a chip shot field goal. And when you go to the sideline after a chip shot field goal, maybe the offense not too happy.
It's a balancing act, isn't it? Because you're exactly right. They're none too pleased that they didn't punch it in for 6 points. But they also have to remember they did put points on the board.
3 points is 3 points.
And in this league, you take points when you can get them. Not easily done.
Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
Off the play fake, here's Favre. And that is incomplete. Oh, the coverage a little too good there, and it's 2nd down. The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and looking for Kittle, but it's intercepted. Picked off by Stephon Gilmore.
Certainly feels like the classic second guess, but let's be honest about it. They had a chance going to halftime with the lead. Why did they take a chance with a throw there? I don't understand that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. And now this defense has to try to protect that lead going into the locker room. So they'll come up 1st and 10 now from the 33. So after the INT, it's Brady. Eventually, he's taken down here. Great coverage downfield, resulting in the sack. So after the sack, a scenario you certainly don't work on too often. 2nd and 24. Here's Brady to throw. He finds his man, complete. That's Gonzalez. Now the AFC going to take a timeout. It's their second, as they stop it here with just under 40 ticks to go in this first half. The chance of wasting this great starting field position, a real threat. This is 3rd and long. Brady going to throw, and he's going to go down. They get to him back at the 40. And now that brings up 4th down there, a loss of 6 yards on the sack.
Well, that's the second time they've gotten to Brady, and you've got to do it a variety of ways. You want your regular pressure. Sometimes you have to bring extra. But in this case, they got to him, and that just doesn't happen very often.
It's a rarity. He's just such a veteran. His pocket presence so good. But, hey, tip of the cap to the D. And this is good from 57 yards out. So we're at halftime of the John Madden Legacy game, and now we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. The AFC going to get the football first here as we are back underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. And he will not bring it out. It's a touchback. The offense for the AFC set to go now. And both of these defenses have been stifling these last few drives offensively. Just not able to get anything going. So what needs to change?
I think a lot of the guys will go back and review, so to speak, because everyone has someone assigned to how did each play work. Okay, what did we use that kind of worked for us during this game? Try and get back to some of those plays, as well as the possibility of showing something you haven't shown already in this game and trying to change things up.
We'll see if they take the advice of Mr. Davis. And he's taken down, but able to slip across the 35. 11 yards there, 1st down. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
They'll come to the line, needing only 2 yards to gain the first here. They keep it on the ground. Allen again. And he's got the 1st down yardage as he brings this up to the 47. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise to the...
And he will take this in for an AFC touchdown. Marcus Allen. 48 yards. And the AFC has taken the lead.
I guess when you look back on it, it was just a matter of time until he popped a big one like that. And, you know, at halftime, you and I discussed it. They had done a nice job on him in the first half. But there were a couple of occasions where it felt like he might wiggle out of traffic and take it to the house. Finally here in the second half, that got done.
Vinatieri connecting on the extra point. And the lead is now 10-3. Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. Here comes Devin Hester bringing it out. And they'll get him down right at the 25-yard line, so the same result, and he opted for the touchback. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. Well, Charles, you and I said at intermission, feels like we're set up for a good second half. Well, the other side scored. Now it's up to them to answer. How do they respond here with their first drive of the second half?
Well, bottom line is they just saw the ball go in the end zone against their defense, and they saw what good offense looks like. They believe they've got a good offense as well. Run the best plays you've got to the top performers you have, and try to move that ball down the field for an answering score.
Third quarter of a tight football game as we come up on a 2nd and 10. Throwing is far. This one into the hands of Kittle, the tight end. And not much to speak of. Call it a 1-yard gain up to the 26. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
Line of scrimmage, the 37 on 1st and 10. To throw is far. Oh, it's a screen pass. That's complete. And some room to maneuver. And able to rip off a big chunk of yardage before being dropped inside the 40. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told him, call me when it's 11-on-11, and he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden, the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.
On that snap, he's the hero of his defense up to the play he just made. A one-possession game, and his hit kept it exactly that.
They'll try and throw for it with Favre.
Steps away, and it's incomplete. They cannot convert, and they turn it over.
The NFC's decision to go for it does not pan out,
and as a result, possession switches hands.
The AFC offense set to take their next drive. Their defense forced the turnover on downs. They've got the lead. They're in good shape, but can't go into a shell here, right? Still got to be careful.
Yeah, because they're still a long way away from kneel down time. So they've got to work on getting first downs, keep the sticks moving, right? Keep the clock going. And above all, ball security. Don't turn it over.
So the AFC with the football as we welcome you back.
They've got a second down now as they search for a way to get this one to the finish line. Now Allen. And he's got it past the 30 before he's hit and dropped.
82 yards rushing for him now as he has been tremendous all day long. And you think about John Madden in his retirement years post-broadcasting. He was about as active as most people are in their working years. I mean, he continued to play a key role on the NFL's competition committee. He was available to a wide range of people as a tutor, as a mentor. He continued to teach the game of football to all who would listen. And Charles, as you and I know, even continued to provide input, a lot of input on the Madden video game.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks that design and build this game certainly look forward to their yearly visits out to the Madden compound that he had out in the East Bay. They pitch the new aspects of each year's game to him, get his feedback, and then get to sit back and spend 6 hours with him on a Sunday, watching football and listening to him tell stories and talk even more ball. It had to be an incredible experience for all involved.
So it's a win here for the AFC on an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. Before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.
Time to decide how you're going to make your Madden NFL 23 debut. You become head on over to the main menu.
There's people that wake up and wish they had it. There's people that wake up and go get it. We go get it, baby. Photo Porto, photogenic. All I know is to go get it. Shoot my shot, now I ain't gon' miss it. All I know is to go get it. All my life I've been a go getter. All I know is to go get it. Wake up in the morning, kiss my son, then go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Photo Porto, photogenic. All my life I've been a go getter. Wake up in the morning, kiss my son, then go get it. Top floor, top dog, like I just signed a TDE. Gang, 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 gang. Know we all gotta eat. Up late, bills due, rent due, I ain't been asleep. Looking in the mirror, all I see is everything that I wanted to be. My city depended on me, that's on G.O.D. Grew up watching my mom become what daddy couldn't be. I ball like MLB, these Bottega boots ain't cheap. My car ain't got no